right, it's 5 after, so let's go ahead and start here.
So I know most of you already know John, and for those who don't know him or haven't had a chance to meet him, he came out to the Connect Well run out at Lululemon. He's been out there twice, so I know he's personally met some of you. But for those who don't know, he is the head running triathlon coach for yourenergystudio.com. And it's neat because it's like YES, yes, Your Energy Studio. I love that. Anyway, it's a boutique fitness and nutrition coaching company, and boutique just means that it's a small, very specialized, kind of business. And so what they do is they provide holistic approach to individualize, customize your workouts and strength training, nutrition and recovery, your recovery needs, and race execution to help you, PR, reach your goals. I know they've helped a lot of people with Boston qualifying, and a lot of their athletes have also met like age group podiums. So anyways, he normally runs goes out to Memorial Park, and that's Memorial Park in Houston. On Sundays, you can meet with him, and he helps to do the running drills. And some of us got to do that this past Sunday, and it was really great. I mean, I learned a lot. I used it on my tempo run today, Coach John. And so it really helped me a lot. So I highly recommend that. So John, just to give him some street cred, like he knows what he's talking about, he has ran over 21 marathons, including Boston, and 3 Chevrons. And he's also, this is like really impressive because he ran his PR at 2 hours and 52 minutes at the age of 50. So, I know a lot of people think, oh, I'm old. I'm just not going to try to PR. I'm just going to go on cruise control. But so that's really awesome that he was able to do that. So anyway, and he will be pacing the 325 Pacer group in the Houston Chevron. And so he knows what he's talking about. So I'll hand it over to you, Coach John.
Awesome. Thanks, Julie. And we also have other Pacers in this group. Is Rebecca Garza on? Rebecca is my co-pacer. She'll be pacing it with me at 325. And then Jasmine Goodnow, she'll be pacing the what is it, Jasmine, 45?
335.
335 group. Okay, you'll only be 10 minutes behind. And then Teresa will be pacing the 4-hour group, which is going to be massive. The 4-hour group is extremely popular. So if you're out there in the 4-hour group, say hello to Teresa.
I'm excited.
So on to the presentation. So you have 3 weeks left, right? People are starting to panic, or maybe if they're not panicking yet, they're about to. But really trust in your training. You are fit. You're most of the way there. Don't mess it up. You can only mess things up now. You can't necessarily get that much faster. You may get in, maybe 1 or 2% faster, but you risk injury. So don't sabotage yourself by going out and doing 24 miles, 4 miles more than what your training plan calls for, right? Don't go and make up a run because you missed it. For this weekend, because of this cold front coming in, for those that are sensitive to cold, I would recommend that you delay your long run to the afternoon when the temperatures are above freezing. And if you're going to be crazy like Julie and others that's going to actually run early in the morning in the 20s or the teens, please be careful. There could be ice on the surface. So be careful if you're stepping, look where you're going. You don't want to hurt yourself at this point. At this point, you should be what I call ultra paranoid mode in making sure you do not get hurt. All right, so that's one of the key things I want to leave you with there. The other thing is during this weekend, you should test out your planned race nutrition. You can check it with your coaches on what that nutrition should be. If you've done marathons in the past, you can go ahead and try that one again to see if that's going to be what you want to continue doing. If it's worked for you in the past, probably go ahead and keep that, that nutrition schedule and nutrition type. Also test your race clothes, your socks, your shoes, check for chafing anywhere, stock up on petroleum jelly and other anti-chafing products. And for the race, use it liberally. You can never have too much in that instance, except you don't want to put the anti-chafing on the bottom of your feet. That some of my athletes have made that mistake where they put it on the bottoms of their feet, and of course they were slipping and sliding in their socks for a lot of the race. The other thing is when you're going around the house, protect your feet. I've had people go in and just walking around the house and they stub their toe on the bed, or they step on a Lego that their children left out, right? So be careful there. Avoid hurting your feet. Your feet will be your most precious commodity in this next 3 weeks. Also, you should do well to watch the course on YouTube. You can search on YouTube for Chevron Marathon, and they'll do a kind of like a flyby going through the course to get you more familiar with it, to really expect, say, hey, these are the types of turns. This is the flow of the course. It's really useful to look at. A lot of these things, you can do them now so that you don't do this at the very last minute and you become more stressed at the last minute. Go ahead and start taking care of these things early on. So 2 weeks before and race week, what should you be doing? You should be trying to get more sleep, especially after a long run or a hard workout. You can either take a nap or go ahead and just go to bed maybe 10 minutes earlier than normal. Start to make this a habit. Going to bed and sleeping. Sleeping is what allows your body to rebuild its muscle. It produces human growth hormone, which allows the muscles to get stronger. So the more of that you do, the stronger you'll get. Start to reduce your caffeine intake. You don't have to go cold turkey, but it's really good to reduce it. Also, alcohol. You can reduce or eliminate the alcohol. It is very beneficial, especially race week, to eliminate alcohol. And you can clean up your diet a little bit, just making sure that, hey, that extra serving of ice cream, just only have 1 serving, for example. Just do a little bit here and there to really help your body. Things like checking and trimming your toenails. You don't want to do that last second, because if you accidentally screw up or whatever, it gives you a few days for your toenails to kind of grow back out a little bit and be okay. Your shoes, your race shoes, for those that have specific race shoes, double check them, make sure there's all the rocks are out of it, the inside is nice and clean. And then once that is determined, set them aside, get them ready to go. You can also do a test of it to make sure that those shoes are still good, that there's no issue with it. And once you determine that they're good, go ahead and put it aside. Your throwaway clothes. Throwaway clothes are very important because you want to stay warm in the corral. Now, the George R. Brown will be nice and warm, but once you do get outside there, it may be very cold, and you do not want to be shivering when you're in the corral. When you're shivering, you're using up a lot of energy that you need to save for the race. And then during these next 2 weeks, go ahead and do some easy foam rolling. Do that daily or do it every other day. Just do it nice and easy. You don't have to really spend too much time on it, but it's really just to relax your body, remove some of that cortisol, and keep your muscles pliable. And then as for the expo, for the first timers, go ahead and enjoy the expo, right? Spend some time there, but really keep it reasonable. Try to keep it under an hour. And then afterwards, you want to go ahead and just try to minimize time on your feet. Don't stand on your feet all day, doing other things. Just every now and then you can get up to do things, but really just try to reduce that time on your feet. It will really pay dividends on race morning. Okay, carb loading. Some people have asked me about carb loading. the correct way to carb load is a slow and gradual carb load 6 days before race day. It is not to be done the night before. So carb load, you want to do it gradually, because as you replace, remember, we're replacing the protein and fat with carbs. We're not necessarily adding carbs in addition to all that protein and fat you're already eating. We want to replace it so that your calorie count is equal. So that is a distinct difference there. So we want to slowly replace protein and fat with carbs. And you do this gradually, because if you go like completely eliminate all protein and fat and then have the carbs, your GI, your stomach may not be able to handle that huge influx of carbs. And it can also, having a lot of carbs can also cause you to overeat a little bit, because protein and fat actually satiates you. It reduces your hunger pains really effectively, and carbs really don't do that as well. So you really have to watch out your calorie consumption, especially since you're running less. You don't want to necessarily eat the same amount that you have, during a long run week, for example, right? So you want to gradually do this, and you can choose carb sources like sweet potatoes, veggies, whole grains. Keep it nice and complex. For now, try to avoid like simple like white bread, for example, while you're doing this carb load. And while you carb load, your body is going to be able to absorb and retain more fluids. So you need to hydrate yourself. You may gain about maybe 2 or 3 pounds of water weight, but it's okay. The water weight will be fine. So make sure you continue to hydrate. The most important carb load day, if you don't do anything else, if you're not able to gradually carb load, so on Friday, that's when you need to consume over 80% of your calories to be complex carbs. And if you can achieve that, you will be 80% of the way there to having a really good carb load. And then again, making sure you hydrate. And then on Saturday, the night before the race, you can go back to just having regular small portions of a balanced meal. So you can have your unsaturated fats, healthy fats, protein, and complex carbs. However, just pay attention to fiber. You don't want to go crazy on fiber the day before, or else you may have some GI issues the following day. And also key is you want to make sure your last meal, dinner, is eaten I would say before 7 at the absolute latest. Try to aim for like around 6 o'clock for your dinner. And then of course, go to bed as soon as possible, before 9 or 10 o'clock. Okay, race morning at the GRB. So really, for those that done marathons before, follow what you've done in the past. Eat your whatever food and snacks that you normally always eat. For first timers, I'd recommend something just very basic and simple, like a white bread, bagel, and make sure you drink and be hydrated first thing in the morning to just top everything off. You're going to have to probably use the restroom again, but at GRB, there's a pretty decent number of porta potties that you'll be able to use. And bring that snack with you. Get there early, because GRB is so nice and warm. It's just a lot more relaxing. You don't have to spend so much nervous energy arriving just on time at the GRB. So get there early so you can just relax inside. And then when it's time to head out to the crowds, make sure you're nice and warm, and get out there with enough time to do just a short 5-minute warm-up. You can do butt kicks, you can do high knees, you can just do easy jogging, and then you kind of find your position and then relax a little bit. And then just every now and then you can start to do leg swings, some just dynamic warm up, just to keep that blood circulating through your legs. And the race nutrition. So the carb load will get you to mile 20 or 22. But in order to get you to the finish line, you have to make sure you supplement that race nutrition along the way. So general guidance, do what already works for you. This is just a guideline here. I don't want you to necessarily think that you do and follow this, right? This is just a guideline for you to consider. Things like your gels. If you have a really thick concentrated gel like goo and goo roctane, it is best that you take that with water to dilute it. Some people's stomach can handle that high concentration, but others, if you're a beginner, maybe not. Hopefully you've tested that during your long runs. The issue is during a race, your stomach and your body is under much higher stress. So sometimes you're not able to handle that high concentration as well when your body is under high stress. Now, there's gels like Huma or the new Gatorade Endurance Gel, which they'll have on course. That's a little bit more watery, and that gives you more flexibility on being able to take that, not necessarily near a water stop. So you can kind of take that wherever you want. And in general, because I personally have a very weak stomach, I kind of spread out my gel intake over about half a mile. So I take a little bit at a time over a half a mile instead of all at once. And that's just to make sure that I don't have so much sugar, reaching my stomach so quickly. I do advise that you take a gel about 10 to 15 minutes before race start. And then after a race start, take a gel every 30 to 50 minutes, depending on your body weight. People who are heavier, they'll probably need to take more gels more often because, hey, they're burning more calories because of the extra muscle mass that they carry. People who are petite and lighter, they can maybe extend it a little bit longer. It's really going to be depending on you. Just make sure that you do fuel consistently and take water as you go. And the other tip I have is you can save the caffeine gels for later. To me, since I don't normally take caffeine, when I do, it provides me with a really big kick. So that's why it helps me really good in the later miles. For some people, it doesn't offer that much of a kick. And people kind of say, oh, hey, it doesn't matter to me. I can kind of rotate back and forth, and it's about the same to me. So do what you think works for you. Okay, now on to the course. Just basic marathoning 101. Take the tangents. Go on the inside of each curve. I always see so many people running on the way outside of a curve. That can add over a quarter of a mile to your marathon. And imagine how long it takes you to run a quarter mile, right? At least a minute or more, just depending on your pace. For those people who are wanting to PR, to Boston Qualifier, et cetera, that makes a big difference. Water stations. At the Chevron, Gatorade is always first. And then there's a very short gap and then water. So don't, once you see the water station, don't immediately dive for the Gatorade station if you only want water. Wait a little bit afterwards until you see the small gap where they start to serve water. And then the general, from a safety perspective, grab that water and don't stop right there. You kind of need to move away from the tables a little bit if you need to stop or walk to drink your water. And there's going to be some parts of the course where it's going to be windy, and be cognizant of that. And feel free to tuck under somebody and run behind them. Let them break the wind. It can really help depending on how strong the winds are. On uphills, take short and faster steps going uphill so that you're not taking these long, gigantic strides up a hill. And that's just putting a lot more stress on your muscles that you need to save for later. And then conversely, when you go downhill, this is when you can recover, relax your shoulders, drop it, relax your arms, and continue running downhill. You can speed up if you want, or you could just kind of maintain the same pace, but then that becomes a lot lower effort. So essentially, you're using the downhills to really recover and to de-stress yourself, which is very important in a marathon. Chevron has only 2 locations for endurance gels. So take that into consideration. I would carry my own, and these can be backup if needed. So you know exactly where they are if you need to pick up an extra gel. One of my I guess primary philosophy is I want you to finish strong, finish either with an even pace time or to finish with a negative split. So you don't go out there and try to bank time knowing that, oh, hey, I'm going to slow down later, so let me try to run really fast at the beginning. Well, you reduce your time towards the end because you ran too fast at the beginning. So it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. So really, you just need to be patient. You can utilize a pace group that's a little bit slower than what you want to do and just run with them for the first 3 miles or so. And that way you're kind of being held back a little bit. You're being taught patient. You're letting your body warm up. You're letting it ease itself into this rhythm. Once you find that rhythm, you say, okay, hey, all right, I'm ready to go. That's when you can start easing into your planned pace. And by doing it this way, it's going to be so helpful for you towards the end when you start to see people walking because they came out too fast. It's a huge, huge psychological bonus for you to be able to continue to run strong while passing up all these people. It's just a very good way to finish a marathon. All right, down to the specifics of Chevron. I break it up into 4 sections, 4 key sections of Chevron. So they're not even, but in general, it's mile 0 to 7.8. 7.8 is where you see the split between the half marathon runners and the full marathons. Full marathons, you want to stay on the right. There's big signs and there's cones in the middle of the street. Hopefully you won't miss that. But just so you know, for the full marathon, stay to the right at around 7.8. So that's another thing is you may see a lot of people just taking off, running really, really fast, in those first few miles. A lot of them are probably half marathoners. So don't feel bad, right? Stay on your planned pace. So, and then the next part is the getting to the overpass. There's a really big overpass with a hill, and that's near the halfway point. And then the third section is the Galleria to Memorial Park section. And then finally, the last 10K is from Memorial Park to downtown finish. So let's go over the first section here. First section, there's 2 uphill sections, but they're actually pretty small. They're very short, very, very subtle. And at the beginning, you're feeling strong already. You don't need to power up these hills. You just take it nice and easy, be patient. You can slow down just a tad if you want, but these hills, they're not going to break you at this point. Just take it nice and easy. There's a section along Kirby Drive that is really, really long. It's just a long, long stretch of the road. Watch out for wind there. There's a possibility that wind can be hitting you in the face. But other than that, no big issues with the first part. The second part, where now we're going to head to the halfway point, right? This is where you want to feel like you're getting into your rhythm, that, hey, this is enjoyable. I'm having a good time. But also remind yourself that, hey, you have work to do later on. I need to be patient. There's going to be good crowd support around the West U area. Enjoy that. Really enjoy the moment here. Now, once you get over to the overpass, right, you take a left-hand turn, and then the overpass will be in front of you. Going up the overpass, reduce your pace a little bit, increase your cadence, take shorter steps, so that you're not using as much energy to go up there at the exact same pace that you were before. It's okay. The overpass is it's pretty short. You'll be over it in about less than 45 seconds or so, depending on your pace. 45 seconds, you may lose like maybe 30 seconds or so from your normal pace, but it's not that big of a deal. You can make it up in other parts. In fact, going back down, you can now make up pretty much all of it there going down. Me personally, I actually use that downhill to relax, to recover, kind of keep my speed, just only a slight increase in the speed, but you also use it as a way to relax and recover. Knowing that, hey, I'm about to reach the halfway point. Now I'm on my way home. And then after that overpass, you're going to have a U-turn. I hate this U-turn, but you have to deal with it. For people with the fancy race shoes with the high stack height, be very, very careful on that U-turn. Okay, the third part, going from that section, you go to the Galleria to the Memorial Park. So at this point, hey, there's going to be more crowds. There's going to be more excitement. You're going to be going into some nice neighborhoods, nice shaded areas. But here, what you need to do is you need to assess your nutrition and hydration from the first half. Were you on target? Were you able to grab enough water? Did you take all your gels? Were you making sure that you stayed relaxed on these downhills? If not, adjust. Solve problems, learn how to solve different problems that may come up. There's going to be a lot of long sweeping curves in this area also. You need to make sure you stay on the inside of each turn because they're very, very long. You still need to be patient, conserve your energy, and run relaxed in this area. Now, once you get to Memorial Park, right, you take a right on Memorial, which is around mile 18, and then another 2 miles, and then you enter into the Memorial Park area, and you got that little downhill and then uphill again, really short one where you go underneath the bridge, right? That is your welcome to the last 10K. That's where the race starts. This is where all your hard work and training will be used. So try to make sure that you tell yourself, all right, this is where my work is going to pay off. Now, assess your mind. Is your mind still sharp? Is it wandering, thinking about, ice cream or thinking about, something at work or whatever? Make sure it's nice and focused still on the task at hand. If you feel that you're still, if you're having brain fade or is fuzzy, take an extra gel. Your brain runs on sugars. And when it's low on sugars, the brain starts to want to shut down. It wants to tell your body to slow down, tell your body to, hey, this is stupid. Why am I doing this? Those thoughts are going to come into your head. You can fight them back with an extra gel. So these are where all the rollers are going to happen, right? Continue to take the tangents. If you have the mind to remember to take the tangents, that means your mind is still pretty sharp. Good for you, right? And this is where you should be starting to take your caffeine gels. Get that caffeine in. Caffeine is the best legal performance enhancing drug out there. So take advantage of it if you don't have issues with caffeine. And you're going to have to deal with a lot of these hills, but the hills in the grand scheme of things here at Chevron, they are manageable. Just continue to focus on recovering on the downhill portion and having short steps, higher cadence on the uphill sections. And if it's starting to really, really affect you mentally here, just know that you just need to get to mile 25. Mile 25 is when it flattens out completely. So if you can survive to mile 25, you have smooth sailing to the finish line because it's nice and perfectly flat there. And this is where you should start to consider emptying the tank. You assess, hey, how much energy and willpower do I have here? how badly do I want this? And you go and you can start to increase your pace a little bit and make sure you smile, right? Throughout the race, actually, you should be smiling because there has been studies that shows that smiling, even if forced, will reduce perceived pain levels. So you can, what I do is I usually just smile at all of the volunteers, right? They see a happy, smiley face. They're glad to be out there. Instead of being miserable, I try to smile, and that really helps with my pain tolerance. So you're not finished yet, right? You are finished with the race, but you do need to recover. It is important that you recover so that you can run another day and really benefit from this training that you've had. So afterwards, keep walking very slowly, get that blanket on you to keep warm. You don't want to have to be shivering so much. Find a recovery drink and down 2 of them. You definitely need it. You need to find some sort of recovery drink for you. We have some suggestions for you on that. Usually we ask like a Sherpa to be present, and the Sherpa will have the my custom recovery drink available for me when I finish. And then do some light stretching. Now NSAIDs like ibuprofen or Advil, some people, they take that during the race, and I really cannot recommend doing that. It really can cause issues. It delays healing from the muscle damage that you're accruing, and it can mask a sign of injury. You may feel good because it's masking that pain, but you may be injured and you don't want to go over that limit to full blown injury. It's not worth it, right? Running is a lifetime sport. We need you to be happy, strong, and healthy so that you can run for the rest of your life. Now, afterwards, after the race, if you feel like you're in so much pain that you can't sleep, then okay, I think one NSAID would be okay there. But what I try to do is I use other methods to recover. Like I just wear my compression socks. I get into my air compression machine. I use this lotion, that's sodium bicarbonate. It helps me to absorb the lactic acid burning sensation in my legs. I take an ice bath or put ice packs on my legs. Helps me to really recover, and I'm as good as new in a few days. And that is it. I want to thank everyone. I want everyone to have a fun race. And let's talk about what topics you want to go over next week, to maybe a specific topic where we can do a lot more detailed analysis or detailed explanation and do a Q&A with it.
Yeah. First, how about we open up for questions first? I know there was a lot of subject that was covered today, and I know. So Julie had asked a question, kind of going back to you're talking about negative split, right? And and you're saying go a little bit slower, and then pick up your pace. So how much lower do you recommend? Against how much lower do you go according to your goal time?
Okay, so the ideal pacing would be even split. Now, but in order for you to, you can have just a very slight negative split. So it could be 1 second, 10 seconds, 30 seconds. Now, if you're negative splitting by 10 minutes, okay, no, that's not good. Right? You want to have a reasonable negative split of around 1 minute, 2 minutes at the most. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Okay. Good question. Thank you.
There's another question there by Kathy. It says, what's the name of the sodium bicarbonate lotion that you use?
It's called AMP PR lotion. And I use it during the race, well, before the race. So I rub it on my legs so that it delays the lactic acid burn sensation, and then I apply it afterwards too as a recovery. And I would say that even though maybe you haven't used that product before, it's actually a pretty low risk product to try out. I recommend it to all of my athletes that I coach, and they've had some really good successes with it. I haven't had anyone really say that, oh, hey, that it caused them any sort of problems. So it is a low risk product, especially because, well, you don't ingest it, right? You definitely don't want to ingest sodium bicarbonate in large quantities, because that can cause gastric problems.
Coach John, do you have any tips on like the tangents for specifically for Houston Marathon?
So one tip is towards the end in Allen Parkway, when you if you want to take the inside of a turn, there's a crown in the road. So it's a little bit at an angle, and it can cause a little bit of ankle pain or ankle, it's harder on your ankles because it's at more of an angle all the way towards the inside of the turn. So be reasonable, try to kind of get close to it, pay attention to the layout of the course or the level of the course to still be in a section that is still relatively flat instead of banked. The tangents, it's important that you look ahead. Don't look down the entire time. Look ahead and see, oh, hey, I see that the road is turning. All right, I need to start to slowly make my way over to the left side. If you're in a pace group, the pacer should be doing this for you, so you can just blindly follow them. And Jasmine, Teresa, you have run Chevron more than I have. Are there any input that you want to make on your experiences with Chevron?
I'm thinking, I mean, obviously every race has been different for me. The last one's been by far my best since I coached with you guys. It wasn't miserable. I think for me, yes, not going out too fast, I think definitely helped out for me. And just, I think for me was carb loading was a big thing, learning how to carb load. I think that would be a great topic for next week, actually. Because I used to load the night before, thinking that was the proper way. And I think that was the biggest difference for me.
So Coach John gave me a list of different topics, and actually the nutrition was like one that I had picked. Because I don't think a lot of people do that properly, like you were saying, Jasmine.
No, I mean, even I think the first time I carb loaded for the week, I've had issues like carb loading, I think maybe too much at the beginning. So I'm still kind of learning kind of what works for me too. So for me, I don't do a lot of carbs, so I have to like ease into it very slowly.
Yeah, the quitting caffeine really works in helping the gels kick in when it need to.
Yeah, quitting caffeine is hard though.
How far out do you quit, Teresa?
2 weeks, right? Is it 2 weeks, John?
I thought it was a week.
I just can't be around people after.
I know, my first time I went cold turkey and I had the worst headache of my life. Yeah, I thought it was 1 week. Is it 2?
You can do, it's a slow one. You can slowly reduce it. Or if you just want to go cold turkey for 1 week, that probably works too. But you will have a headache if you go cold turkey.
I don't recommend the cold turkey.
Yeah, I think one of the things regarding caffeine is do according to what you can tolerate, right? Because if it's interfering with your, daily, life, you can't function, then obviously that's going to be too aggressive. So, you know, the first time doing it, it's going to be really hard. And Jasmine, I know you're like, you went all in, you know.
I did.
So, but I
Well,
think like the next few times were a little bit better. Um, so I think, you know, that is a relative question regarding how much to cut back. You know, you can go as even just half, you know, a, you know, 3/4, you know, like a third of, if you're taking like 3 cups of coffee a day, you know, taking it, you know, 2 cups of coffee, you know, it's just more of just kind of reducing it. So that way you can really benefit from the extra caffeine that you're going to be getting from the gels on that day.
How much caffeine is too much caffeine?
That's going to be all relative, I think, because I mean, you know, we know people who drink, you know, 4 or 5 cups of espressos a day. So I mean, so it really, it's all relative. And it's just, you know, your body's tolerance is higher on caffeine. So, you know, just imagine if you're just even cutting just a little, you still be able to benefit from it.
One of the guidelines is to try to be lower than 400 milligrams. Higher than 400 milligrams, the caffeine acts, the diuretic aspects of caffeine really starts to kick in, and you may have to end up using the restroom mid-race, which is what you really don't want to do. And in general, if you are running at a high enough effort, your kidneys will actually shut down, and you technically should not have the urge to urinate. But if for some reason you slow down, you need to walk. If you walk for 30 seconds or a minute and you bring your heart rate way down, then your kidney starts to activate again, and you will then have the urge to urinate. So that's another tip. Don't slow down. Don't walk for now, right? Or just know that now, of course, a run-walk strategy is very viable for certain people with certain time goals. But it's just something to consider, that if you are needing to walk, try to reduce it to less than 30 seconds so that your kidneys don't have time to start working again. Great questions. Thank you. Oh, Vanny wants to know about picking up the cup properly. So actually, we did a training session on that, where some of the athletes went, and I set up a cup station, and they practiced grabbing cups from the from my hand. And Jasmine did terribly the first few times, but then I think after practice, she got a little bit better at it. And the same thing is going to happen to you at the marathon. Your first 2 or 3 cups of water that you grab is going to go really bad, but you will improve later on in the marathon. I think you'll be grabbing the water cups a lot better. But in general, my guideline for grabbing the cups is I can either point at the person that has a cup, or I make sure I have eye contact with them so that they know, all right, hey, that person there, he's going to grab this cup. I'm going to be prepared for it. And then as you run, you extend your hand out. So you want to grab the cup in front of you, and then as you grab it, you're actually moving that cup slowly behind you as you run, so that you don't slap the cup out of the person's hand. You're grabbing it and moving it back so that it's a lot more gentle on the water. And then once you have that, then you take it and then you squeeze the cup so it's like nice and flat. And then what you do is you tilt your head to the side, and then you pour it in from the side. Now, of course, doing that at full speed, at faster speed, it's hard. What you don't want to do is drink in front of you. If you drink in front of you like this running, it's going to go all up in your nose and in your face. So squeeze the cup, bend over to the side, and pour it to the side.
You guys should do another drill on that one.
Yeah, we can set up a day at the track there, maybe a week before the race, and set that up and do that.
Pretty interesting to watch. It does help though, yes.
Yeah. And this is when you're, every second counts, when you want to not slow down at the water stops. And it does make, I think, because if you're slowing down, you have to speed up again. And just that act of having to speed up is using extra energy. Marathoners, you want to be in the flow. You want to have a rhythm. You want to be consistent, constantly going at that pace. All right, any other questions? All right, I think if that is all, thank you so much, everyone, for attending. Thank you, Julie, for setting this up. And we will we'll discuss on what topic. I think nutrition is a good topic for next week, right? We can do. And I'll be happy to expand on that and have another discussion. And this is being recorded, so I will upload it to YouTube on a private link, and then you can share that private link to whomever you want.